Hello, and welcome to another episode of XenoChat. I am one of the hosts, Tyler, along with Justin.
Hey, everyone.
Okay, and we have a few returning guests today. First up, we have Robin.
I'm not in this episode with you. You're in this episode with me.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Whoa.
Someone's cocky today.
Yeah, and we have Nick.
Yeah, you're right. You got me. I'm just in this episode with you.
You're in this episode with me.
Yes.
I mean, this definitely is going to be a Robin-centric episode because this is probably one of your favorite Xeno characters. Is that right?
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out if he is my favorite. He's certainly the one that lives in my brain rent-free the most. So,
Clearly you hate him.
I loathe him dearly.
I would say he's very complex. He's got.
And this character is Dickson from Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Yes.
So,
Good old Dickson.
So I'm just hoping I can add enough to this conversation.
There are going to be quite a bit of spoilers, so run away if you haven't beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about Dickson without talking about spoilers.
First of all, did you know that Dickson was Shulk's adoptive father?
Whoa,
What?
Calm down. We didn't have to do that within the first 2 minutes.
You're blowing my mind right now. Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
I can't handle all this trivia, bro.
Well, if you want more good stuff like that, let me tell you about this Twitter account I found. Xeno Underground. You ever heard of it? Really good.
Ooh, is
Got a
Xeno
lot of
Underground?
great fun facts on it. So my plugs
Yeah, go
are done.
follow Xeno
That
Underground.
was a beautiful segue to nothing.
I'm glad that worked out. You can thank me later. I've contributed to this episode.
All right. So bringing it back in, we can talk about Dickson and like the origins of Dickson. So we first see Dickson right at the very beginning, right? Because he was at the Battle of Sword Valley with Dunban and Mumkar.
He's one of the first playable characters.
Mm-hmm.
This is true, yes. And you do technically get him as a party member later on for like a really, really, really small part of the game.
One singular battle, yes.
Yeah,
Can I
one
just-
battle.
Can I
Get
just
to play
like
Dickson a total of twice.
Monolith Soft is like one of the few studios I've seen where they bring in a character like fully playable for like a few seconds of their game, a few minutes of their game, and then they're like, nope, you never get to touch them again.
Yeah,
Like,
I keep forgetting that it is just that one battle. For some reason, I keep thinking to myself that you have him for longer than that. But yes, you're right. It is just that one battle.
I think he's just a guest. Like later, he doesn't even like fight in later stuff.
Yeah. You
that's
get
right.
to have him in 2 battles total throughout
like,
the game, and he's a guest for quite a bit, honestly.
It's because like you see him in cutscenes, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's here, but then you go back to the field, and it's like, well, he's here, but you know, he's staying behind the camera. He's a little camera shy right now.
He's here, but his leg's acting up. He can't really fight.
Yeah, he's lagging behind a bit. No, don't try to pull out the camera more. You're not going to see him. He can fly.
Well, to be fair with
He's
that, like, a lot of your party members who are not in your active party are also, like, you can't see them no matter how far you pull back.
Oh, I know. It wasn't solely on him, but
Okay.
also I just had a wonderful thought. What if Dickson is the cameraman in Xenoblade Chronicles?
See, now I'm just picturing that one, like, meme where it's a person filming their kid, like, you're doing great, sweetie.
It could be that. I'm also picturing like the Lakitu from Mario 64, except for it's just Dickson sitting in a cloud, and that's a great thought.
That's hilarious, but I don't think he would do a good job. I feel like he would just sit there and be like, "Oh shit, the race is already way past me.
My hand's a
Never
little
mind, I'll
shaky
catch
these
it
days,
later."
but I'll give it a shot."
Dickson Lakitu. That's an image that's gonna stay in my head for a while.
If we have anyone who wants to draw fan art of that, you'll probably beat me to it. I'm really slow at that stuff.
I do find it funny how like when you get to play as Dickson, you can actually like select arts. He does have like an arts palette, even though he only has like one skill. Yes. I think.
I was trying to think back on that actually.
I think I know that he has a healing art, which is a thing that I kind of wanted to mention.
Yes, he does. He has. I'm looking at his art list. He has Thunder Flash, which does ether damage, and Heal Bolt, which restores HP.
So I wanted to ask you guys, because you'll probably either remember or just be able to look it up faster than I will. But do you think that his arts were mostly just like mimics of other arts that would appear later in the game? But
I'm pretty sure they're all old arts that Charla has.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought, but I could not remember off the top of my head.
Because
Let me look
they
at
both use
Charla.
rifles, except that Dickson's rifle is also a sword.
Man, replaying Xenoblade Chronicles in that definitive edition last year was pretty magical, but yeah, I don't remember that far back on it.
Yeah, Dickson's weapon's actually pretty stupid.
If
you picture the Buster Sword and Squall's sword gun, and you imagine that they've reproduced, that's Dickson's weapon.
I mean,
so
in his defense, why would you put a bayonet on the end of a sword if you can just build it into the sword? I think that's stupid.
You mean bayonet on the end of the gun?
Yes, that's what I meant. Bayonet on the end of a gun. A bayonet on the end of a sword would be really stupid and redundant.
That's just double sword.
So, get this. Dickson's skills are actually unique to him.
Really?
Obviously Charla has, healing spells as well, but, they don't have the same name. They're not reused spells.
Dude, that's just that's just a monolith flexing, man.
I'm looking at the arts list for both Dickson and Charla. I don't see any of Dickson's skills on Charla's list.
Huh. I was very certain that they were just...
I mean
they're probably basically reskins of
exactly. They're I'm not gonna say they created a whole new things for them. Obviously, Charla has a similar healing skill and a similar. The Thunderflash does ether damage. Does Charlotte have any bullets that do ether damage?
She has a thunder attack.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, Thunderbollt. Yeah, that's right. She has got Thunderbollt. So, I mean, it's similar, but, they're not named the same.
They put a fresh coat of paint on. They filed off the serial number that said Charla.
Dude, even if it's the same animation, but different effects on it, that's still a lot of work for a character that you play as for all of, maybe 5 minutes if you extend the time on it.
Yeah.
If you just
I guess a lot more if you stop to take pictures.
Yeah, and I guess technically speaking, you can't really control him by normal means. Cuz you got to
first battle, no. In the second battle, yes.
Okay, I was going to say I think you can switch him to the front in that second one.
Yeah, the second one, yeah, you can.
The second one you can, yeah.
First
or
one,
you can do
I had to
the
just
team
sit there
attack
and be a useless stun band running around taking pictures of Dickson.
So basically, he plays like Charla, but hotter.
Yes. he plays like a successful Charla.
Yeah.
He has pants.
He plays like a Charla that shows a lot more titty.
Exactly. What if Charla wore pants but had less shirt? You'd get Dickson. So... How did everyone feel... I know I'm not going in the order of the document, but how did everybody feel about, the twist of, Dickson's actually a bad boy? You thought he was your good dad, but no,
honestly,
he's a bad man.
Caught me off guard. And I know, looking back in retrospect, it was pretty obvious, but, when I first played it, I actually didn't see it coming.
I'll put it this way. For me, it was... I don't know, it was weird. It's because, they let you know. They're very obvious about letting you know that Dickson is up to something. However, I didn't feel like that something was necessarily mustache twirly evil like it kind of turned out to be. I felt like
exactly that's why it caught me off guard.
I was like, oh, he's up to something. He knows more of what's going on, but he's it's like whenever you're playing Xenogears and you're like, oh yes, Citan's clearly up to something, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily evil. That just means he's kind of a douchebag.
Exactly. That's what I thought they were going to go with Dickson. Obviously he knows more than he lets on. I just didn't expect him to be what he turned out to be.
To be a cultist, yeah.
Yeah.
When I first played Xenoblade, I got a few hours in and got killed by a level 70 fish and tweeted about it, and someone was like, haha, I just got killed by level 70 Dickson or something like that. I didn't know that. So that kind of painted my perception of it, so I can't really answer the question very well because I'm
That's-
still kind of bitter about that.
That's just
Oh,
kind of
that's
this
sad.
Yeah, that's pretty mean.
Unless
Yeah,
it was
for-
like a
It was.
mod where it was like they replaced all the enemies with Dicksons, and there's just Dicksons walking around.
And they didn't send me that mod.
They
What
didn't
the
send
heck?
the mod.
Right?
Send me the mod.
The mod with just all Dickson, all enemies but Dickson.
All Dickson, Final Destination. For myself, so the way that I ended up being aware of Xenoblade being available in the States was actually somebody saying that, like, it was a topic about, like, what makes video games art, and somebody mentioned Xenoblade as, like, oh, it's a game that subverts your expectations. So I get the game, and I see Dickson, and I go, this guy is clearly American, so he's evil. So I spend the whole game going, but my expectations, they're gonna subvert them. So here's how Dickson can still win. So moment for moment, while he is sitting there being blatantly evil, I am just sitting there like, but here's how Dickson can still win. He shoots Shulk, and I'm like, but here's how Dickson can still win.
He might be good still. We don't know. Maybe he shot like something into Shulk that stopped the
Maybe.
mind control game going on with Shulk, or
Exactly.
That
There was a
didn't actually
bug
happen.
on Shulk's back.
It was a trank bullet.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean,
So-
those do exist.
They do, and a thing is that when he shoots Shulk, he's not at all shocked when Shulk is fine.
It's a massage bullet.
It's an inconvenience bullet.
You were
And,
getting a little too hasty there, Shulk. I had to calm you down a bit with me massage bullets.
Also, I apologize. My neighbors have gotten extra loud.
I can't hear them. You're good.
I feel like it's going to pick up in the recording is more why I am apologizing.
Oh,
Don't worry. The magic of editing.
I don't know if editing will fix this, but that's okay.
I mean, even if it doesn't, our viewers, I mean, our listeners get the inside baseball. No, I'm kidding. Wait, go on.
So yeah, that was actually why I ended up being very obsessed with Dickson, that I was just like, okay, here's how Dickson can still win. Okay, but here's how Dickson can still win. Okay, but here's how Dickson, like, don't worry, I know this all seems pretty evil, but just wait.
Okay, I'll bring up something I really like about Dickson, actually, and it's that his portrayal in this is like, yeah, it does feel, in a way, I mentioned Citan earlier from Xenogears, and in a way, he kind of, like, seems to fit that bill at first, but also he's, like, the really, like, more laid-back version of that, and I just really can appreciate that. I really like that. He felt like, oh, yeah, I've already been there, of course, you know. He's a free spirit, and I really dug that. His clothing basically screamed, I'm a free spirit also. And he also clearly likes his whiskey and cigars. I'm good with that. So yeah, man, even if you like just hate villains all the time, you know, Dickson's a pretty likable guy.
I think, like, as people who are, of course, the Western audience, a lot of us look at Dickson and we see, wait a minute, I've seen that guy before in actual real life. I've seen him.
No, it me.
Like, not at me, but
No,
I've
I
seen
know,
that
okay.
guy. Like, I saw him and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've seen you at the local powwow. I think you were like 5 guys there. I know you mentioned, like, seeing a carnival barker that looked like him.
A carny? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen a carny that looked kind of like him.
I think David's also said, like, he's seen guys that looked like it. Like, he's very, like, you look at him and you go, that's every...
It's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, okay, yes.
Hey, we don't go there.
Okay.
I have a reading too much into it about Hulk Hogan, too.
We're not
But,
going to talk about
But
cold
he
sodas
looks
and hot
like
popcorn.
every guy who... He looks like every new guy who does all of his shopping in New Mexico or is about to go to a Stevie Nicks concert.
Okay, I don't get the shopping in New Mexico thing, but sure, yeah.
His vibe just very New Mexico.
Okay, I can respect that at least, I guess. Maybe like in his like clothing choices and such. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. His aesthetic.
Yeah.
Well, but how many of those guys have raised Shulk?
I hope 0 of them, because Shulk's not real, and I'm discussing real boys.
What? We can't say that. We made an entire
Sorry,
episode
Shulk's
about
real.
that guy.
Shulk's real. I'm sorry. But
yeah, with that, let's get into.
Listen,
I guess like
Shulk is just as real as Junior, Albedo, and Guinan.
Okay. I will respect that.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, Justin. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I think we can segue into, Dickson's relationships with the party members, particularly with Shulk.
Yeah, Dickson basically raised Shulk since he was about 9.
I mean,
possibly 10. I mean, it was 10 years ago. He's 19 at the beginning of the game, so 9 or 10.
I think Dickson made a decent dad, while he was serving the role. Like, I don't think he was, like, Shulk is fine, obviously. I don't think he was abusive of Shulk. I don't get that vibe at all, really.
No. No, and it seems like Shulk looks up to him pretty, like, a lot, there's mutual respect there. So, I don't think that Dickson was necessarily like abusive or anything like that.
He supported Shulk's love of like working in the lab too, which is a lot more than you could say about, some people like would try to steer somebody in a different direction, but it's very clear that Shulk loves that work, and Dickson did nothing but encouraged it,
Yeah, the worst he did was say, like, hey, maybe go outside sometimes. Maybe don't spend all your time in here.
You're getting all pasty.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, that faux Dickson voice is going to come up a lot this episode.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be like 90% of this episode. 10% will be a character interpretation.
It's just so fun to do his voice. Sorry, go on.
I'm very bad at it.
You know what? The worse you are at it, the better it sounds.
I will say that, like, I am obviously very biased towards Dickson and interpreting him in a positive light, and because of that, I've kind of tried to force myself to be aware of, like, more negative interpretations you could take. So, for instance, although we're all pretty much in agreement that, like, well, Shulk's a good boy, and nobody has ever reported anything bad in how Dickson raised him, and Shulk certainly has no complaints. Shulk is very hesitant to talk about his visions. He's very like, oh, no, people aren't going to believe me. So if you wanted to read into that as like, well, Dickson must have dismissed some theories that he's had and like, nope, you're stupid, Shulk, shut up. You could, and neither of those is shown, so technically nobody's wrong here.
Dude, let's be honest though, like, Monolith is pretty good at writing some very affable villains, so that's not like a thing that's even, I don't think that's even easy to hold against somebody. It's like, oh yeah, I like this person who is a villain in this game. Well, yeah, they're actually a pretty cool character.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to shame myself. I'm just saying that because I know that I view him in an exceedingly positive light that he probably doesn't deserve, I do try to be aware of other interpretations that could exist for the character.
Yeah.
I just kind of go, that's nice, and throw them in the dumpster.
Like, ultimately, Dickson is doing what he believes in. So, there's that.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a little bit loaded. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. Another thing is we mentioned that he found Shulk in Valak Mountain. Everybody else in the expedition was already dead when Dickson found them, at least according to the cutscene that we see.
Yeah, including Shulk's parents.
Oh yeah, the part where he walks in is like, everyone's already dead. Help me! Yep.
Oh god, everyone's dead. Okay, well this guy's okay, and there's a sword over here. I'll just take that boy.
Oh, look, there's a little kid. I guess I'll take him.
He's just looking around looting everything, and he didn't even check what he looted, and he's like, looted one child.
I mean, honestly, I don't think he killed them. Like, why would
I've never heard this headcanon before. Like,
again,
he could have just killed Shulk too, if that were the case. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, Zanza needed a body. Again, It's a thing where I'm like, I don't agree with it personally, but if you wanted to look at everything and go, well, dude, why was everybody dead except for Shulk? Okay, Dickson killed all of them and then shoved Zanza into Shulk somehow.
I mean, Zanza could use any body he wanted, really.
Yeah.
Why Shulk?
He could. Because Shulk looked like him.
Shulk was alive. Yeah, that's true.
But again, it's not a thing that I particularly heard. It's just a, like, hey, if you want to go and decide, well, in my universe, Dickson did kill everybody, alright, sure, but you do have to bring in the unreliable narrator. But there's no reason not to do that, is all I'm saying. I'm trying to play all sides of this while simultaneously fully admitting that I'm going to play the nope, Dickson was a good dad. Dickson found an already, dead party, found Shulk, and said, this is my new son, I love him, I'm going to raise him to be a good boy.
I mean, I guess you can be a good dad and still have eventually really bad intentions.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
he does ultimately literally shoot him in the back.
As Zangief said once, it's like, just because you are not a good guy does not mean you aren't a good guy.
That's exactly what Zangief sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, he could be good dad and still be bad guy.
Yeah, which is where I put him, where it's just like, he didn't have great intentions, but he wasn't a bad dad.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything you hear about him from most of the inhabitants of the Bionis and the Mechonis is fairly positive.
I mean, I didn't hear any lines where Shulk was like to Ryan, hey, Ryan, is it, normal to be beaten by your dad every day?
Hey, Ryan, is it normal when your dad discourages all of your interests and says shut up? Is it normal when your dad goes out for a pack of smokes and doesn't come back for a month?
For 4 years?
So, yeah, it's again, I'm trying to be respectful of, there are ways to read everything as negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, though I think with... I don't know. I think we can give Dickson the benefit of the doubt. Since
I'm always going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I just also have to play devil's advocate because I feel like y'all are too supportive of me.
I mean, you can be delusional and still be a nice person.
You're trying really hard to avoid that one Xeno fan from writing us an angry letter about it.
Yeah, I'm sure someone is going to be very passionate about that.
It's me. I'm writing you an angry letter right now.
I mean, if you don't like it, I guess you can skip the Dickson episode.
I think there are some negative qualities to Dickson, but when it comes to him raising Shulk, I don't see it.
Dude, I have a great name for this episode, though. Let's call it The Roast of Dickson.
It's an okay name. That's really the best you can do?
No.
Okay. Do better.
Maybe.
Be nice to each other.
I just thought it'd be funny.
Hey, so is there anything more about Shulk and or Dickson?
About Dickson with Shulk. So a thing that did stick with me is how at the end when you do kill Dickson kind of goes, well, I'm not gonna just go die for some random guy. Bye, you win. And then he walks off screen to go die by himself. And he says, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of watching me die.
Oh, so since we're talking about that...
It just struck me as so weird, because nothing about Shulk's personality strikes me as he would gain any satisfaction from watching somebody die.
Uh-huh.
And then it occurred to me that maybe it's not so much that he's gaining satisfaction from watching, Dickson die, as it is, like, satisfaction from Dickson being wrong.
Yeah, well, it was like, I really don't think it was like satisfaction with like, haha, you were promised godlike power and you were killed by a mortal or anything like that.
Yeah, go on.
Do you want my other interpretation? That's actually
I do, because like it's a line that just struck me as weird. Because again, he really doesn't enjoy killing for the most part. He enjoys killing Mechon up until he's like, oh wait, they're actually pretty sentient too, aren't they?
Well, like the Mechon weren't, because Mechon were like created by the Machina.
Yeah.
So they weren't, but like if he were to like go in and kill the Machina, that would be like a different story. But they mentioned pretty discreetly that Eggle made the Mechon, and it was they're just robots that the robot people made, not the actual people. So there's that.
Yeah, Shulk's very like, I don't like killing sentient life. I'm okay with killing the Mechon insofar as they aren't sentient.
Yeah. So there was my very serious interpretation that because Dickson lights up a cigar as he's going out right there, he knew that smoking is bad for your lungs, and he didn't want Shulk to witness the negative effects of smoking that he had on his own body for the last however many billion years he was alive or whatever. But, it's like, so that's why he lights up a cigarette in that last scene. It's like, I'm not going to let him see me die from all this smoking I did through my life and not totally related to the battle I just had with Shulk.
It's actually completely unrelated. It's just because I've been smoking for so long, my ability to recover is garbage.
So yeah, it turns out the entire game was just like one of those truth advertisements you see.
It's just an anti-smoking ad?
Anti-smoking ad, yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
That's what happened.
Honestly, I took his last words to Shulk as that he... Maybe it's too much, but I thought he was just kind of shielding Shulk from having to experience killing him directly.
Honestly, I think I agree with that interpretation completely.
That's what I went with. But
again, it's just the wording that makes me go, that can't be it. Otherwise, 100% with you.
Does he actually say the satisfaction of seeing me die?
He says satisfaction because it's struck up. Because it's
I don't think he was being serious about that word.
I think that was like
to be direct about it.
It could have been a self-delusion, like, I don't want to make you... It could have either been self-delusion or
Dickson's sense of pride there coming in. I don't think Shulk... I think he realizes deep down that Shulk would not be happy to see him die, and that's the main...
especially by Shulk's hand,
Yeah.
That's the last thing he would want Shulk to know, that Shulk killed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And again, it was just that the word used as satisfaction was like, what? Otherwise, everything else about that is like, okay, yeah, you don't want to make Shulk watch you die, that's fair.
Yeah.
You don't want to make Shulk realize that he killed you, that's fine. It's just, again, that they used the word satisfaction that struck me as, what? Satisfaction? Why would he get any satisfaction from this? Why would this guy who defended Mumkar get any satisfaction?
No, that's just a Dixonism.
Yeah, I don't think Dickson... Yeah, go on.
He's got to be, like, snarky even when he's self-monologuing on that. And that's why he's like, oh, yeah, I'm not... The satisfaction, yeah, Dickson knows Shulk. He knows that he's not going to actually be happy to see him die. It's more... Like, even in his death throes, he's protecting Shulk in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Is my thought on it.
Yeah, he's not being, like, direct with his feelings.
He's like trying to deny he's like in self-denial there, I think. That's like one of those things where he's like, no, Shulk, like, he's trying to disconnect himself so that he doesn't like feel as much pain about what he puts Shulk through, is my thought on it.
You could also think of it as just like that warrior instinct in Dickson coming out. Mm-hmm. Like, in that fight, he sees Shulk as an enemy, and he doesn't want his enemy to know that they won. So I don't want to give Shulk the satisfaction of watching him die, because that's saying I lost to your enemy. That, I guess That's another way to look at it.
One.
There's also the fact that it's like a trope in movies where you light up a cigarette before you die and just like, yeah, I know I'm gonna die, so whatever, fuck it. We're gonna go out with a bang kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it hits a lot of those notes. It's a very complicated kind of scene when you really like think about it and dig into it, but
it's complex.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all that.
Yeah.
Like, Dickson is a human at the end of or a Homs, I should say, not a human. He's a Homs at the end of the day.
He does die as a Homs, which I think is also very symbolic of, like, that's the way he wanted to be remembered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't want to see Dickson go out crying or anything, so that it worked for me.
That would be so sad.
It would be. And it still is very sad.
I barely was able to, like, be okay with it. I'm like, okay, here's how Dickson can still win. I mean, at first I was like, wow, that's really cool to just have this fight where he walks away like, oh, nope, he's dead, never mind.
What if they had done, like, a thing where he did some kind of self-sacrificing thing to help Shulk in the end? That would have been
cool.
Would have been alright.
I mean,
I'd been alright with that.
I would have been happy with that.
Some people hate that kind of thing, but, in his case, I think that would have worked out for me. I think I would have liked that.
I'll get more into that when we get up to the motivation section.
Yeah, when we get into real spoilers, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Real spoilers.
Real.
As far as his relationship with other party members, I mean, you could argue he hits on Charlotte, but no.
Does he? I don't
remember.
The closest he comes is he says that what's a pretty thing like you doing with these weirdos.
Oh, no, that's just the way old dudes talk.
Yeah, that's just the way old dudes talk. That's not
I was going to say. I don't really remember Dickson being flirty towards anyone, really.
Again, the closest he comes is he calls Charlotte a pretty thing. That's it.
Yeah.
All I remember about being flirty is when Dunban gets up in everybody's face.
Dunban's super flirty in the intro. Dunban is very in everybody's face. Dunban does not back down.
I get that I get that the point is that Dunban is like being the cheeky, cocky young soldier in that case. And that in the course of a year, he becomes the wizened old man from his experiences for the group.
I know.
But it really comes
I hurt my
battle-hardened
arm
them.
once, and now I've just realized self-control and not getting into everybody's personal space.
I'm not going to stick my face up in Shulk's face anymore and say, haha, did you see what I just did?
Yeah, the opening is just Dunban being way too close to everybody all the time. But speaking of Dunban specifically, he was friends and drinking buddies with Dickson.
Yeah, they're war buddies.
Yeah, they were war buddies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but like they kept friendship after that. After the war.
And then there's Mumkar, who's the friend that you're pretty sure is actually not your friend and actually just wants your Pokemon cards.
Mumkar is another topic that I don't want to be particularly mean to, because I know a lot of people do very much like Mumkar. And that's fine. You can love anyone you want.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I think that
Yeah.
Mumkar has some good qualities to him, and even if he doesn't, he is interesting.
He is very interesting. But yeah.
But he's also kind of like a really big coward.
Mumkar's a character where you see him in the intro and you're like, this guy's gonna betray me, and if he doesn't, I'm throwing away this game. And then he betrays you, and it's like, oh good, I don't have to throw this away.
No, I don't think I would throw the game away if he didn't. That'd be kind of interesting to see where they went with that.
I was already spending all of my he's definitely not gonna betray me energy on Dickson. I couldn't spend it on Mumkar as well.
Yeah, Mumkar was gonna be like, if he hadn't, he would have been like the guy who was like, hey Shulk, I know I look like a rotting zombie criminal, but I'm going to help you rebuild Colony 6.
Yeah.
I could see it.
I know what struck me about Mumkar was how much his design looked like it belonged in One Piece.
Dude, it does, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm being way too harsh on Mumkar, and I don't want to like upset anybody.
Mumkar's a fun character.
Because I do
It's
like
okay.
the character.
It's not his episode. It's fine.
I do like
No.
Mumkar. I think he is a very fun character. I'm making jokes at his expense, yes, but I mean, like it's just so easy.
I think that's part of what makes him fun, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Another thing is that Dunban does call Dickson a cheap old man because he's not giving weapons to the party for free. And, I mean, as a person who plays RPGs, yeah, what the fuck, dude? I'm saving the world. Give me that shit for free. The other side of that is that it does tell us that, Dickson makes weapons. We know that Shulk made Ryan's weapons, so it's like, oh, that's cute. He taught Shulk how to make weapons. Aww.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he made Ryan like he Ryan's weapon. I didn't even think about this that much before, but Ryan basically uses Shion's prototype weapon. Yeah, basically uses
MWS.
Yeah. Shield with a blade in it.
Yeah. Well, no, because like later Shion weapons had the blade.
Early Shion weapons had the blade. It's just like the blade was concealed.
Oh yeah, right. That's all right. I was trying to think of if the big fist in the first game did, but I think it did. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It was concealed for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it became the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual disc thing in the later games.
Yes. Anyway, I just don't think it's fair to call somebody cheap that they didn't give you weapons for free when they made them themselves out of rare materials. Like, come on.
Dude, weapons are not easy to make, and they are not cheap at all. Like, asking a little bit
come
of money
on,
for
Dunban.
that's not a bad thing at all.
Look, Dickson needs to feed his tobacco habit somehow.
Gotta buy me smoke somehow.
Dunban, I need whiskey, and I need the expensive shit.
If only we could have just paid him with booze and cigars.
That would have been great. You just collect booze and cigars instead of, like, random bugs.
So, what's this next note? Dunban apparently develops Dickson's sense at some point?
Yeah, later in the game, Dunban says, I can sense Dickson. And I'm like, okay, so you just developed Dickson's sense?
I don't remember that.
I think I remember that scene.
Yeah, you took a screenshot of it, but decided to take the screenshot a little bit before the caption had finished generating.
My Dickson senses are tingling.
No, he says I sense Dickson. Except if you I don't know, forget to screen cap the ON, it might say something funny.
He probably
I remember I had another one where I did that. Because there's one scene towards the end where Dumba just goes, Dickson! And then I cut it off at the right moment. That was good.
Yeah. He's just... Yeah, so it's sort of like, okay, you just developed Dickson sense. Sure, why not? Although, maybe he always had Dickson sense, and it just wasn't relevant. I always know where you are, Dickson. That's creepy as fuck, Dunban.
See, I've detected Dickson since before I was born.
That's extra creepy as fuck. Don't talk to me.
Is that like his first words?
Say Dada. Dickson.
Dickson.
This is a good episode.
Close
enough.
Yeah,
quality content.
Oh, another thing in regards to Dickson making weapons is I think this is only in Definitive Edition, and I think this is only with the... I forgot what the bonus mode is called, but there are a bunch of like items you can get where they were made by Dickson, and they're all... like, the descriptions are all like, this allegedly increases your luck. Let me go...
Are we talking like Land of Challenge? What are we
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Land of Challenge.
Land of Challenge.
Give me a moment.
Yes, Napon Archsage got this from some guy who looked like he was headed to a Guns N' Roses concert.
Staff customized by Dickson. Effective. Lighter customized by Dickson.
We are
Sword
back.
Customized by Dickson. Weapon modified by Dickson. Firearm modified by Dickson. Come on. I know I'm not making this shit up!
What were you trying to find?
Again, like, there's... You know how there are unique armor items you can get in the Land of Challenge?
Yes, but I don't remember them.
Yeah, I know some of them have descriptions that specifically mention Dickson. Okay, are these them?
I remember some of like the
Okay, I found them. I found it.
Items that had mentioned.
Okay, so like bourgeoisie glasses, Dickson's custom order glasses. They're quote supposed to bring good luck. Bourgeoisie watch, Dickson's custom order watch. It quote allegedly brings good luck. Bourgeoisie sandals, Dickson's custom order sandals. They potentially bring good luck. Bourgeoisie bottoms, Dickson's custom order bottoms. They seemingly bring good luck. And those are all items for Brian.
So it's not like Dickson was just like, I made these sexy bikinis for everyone. They bring good luck, trust me.
No, he apparently ordered all of them, and apparently Dickson and Ryan are the same bathing suit size.
I mean, if I were going to make lucky clothing for Ryan, I'd make it like a clown costume or something. I was like, no, it brings good luck. Trust me, Ryan. You can wear it.
But apparently he bought them for himself, and then they either did or didn't bring luck, but either way he was just like, you can have it, Ryan.
Yeah. I'm glad that
it doesn't look flattering on me.
I'm glad that Dickson makes fairly stylish clothing for the heroes, and not just like tries to get them to wear some joke outfit because of luck.
It's just Ryan, but Ryan's bathing suit stuff is fine looking. Well, it's not embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly.
He
but also
fine.
We have to consider that Ryan might be the only one in the party that actually believes in luck.
I'm still stuck on, like, Ryan and Dickson are not the same height. I don't know how Ryan's able to wear Dickson's clothes.
I do not
Ryan
know.
is taller than Dickson. Ryan is wider than Dickson. So, is Ryan ripping all of these things as he wears them?
Well,
oh, great, thanks, Dickson. These fit me great. No, they don't.
Dickson doesn't wear super tight clothing or anything.
Have you seen his pants?
Okay, yeah, the pants are. But I meant the shirt, okay?
The shirt is not, no. But, like, they should not be able to share pants.
Maybe they're like elastostretch thing. I don't know.
Or maybe because
it makes my ass look great.
Maybe Dickson, since Dickson's a giant, maybe he used to be a little bit taller, and then he could change. I don't know. Never mind. Change his size at will. I don't know.
Like he Bruce Bannered that shit. He just made some pants that grow with you and shit like that.
Oh, that's it. So that's like so what happened is Ryan found the pants and they fit him fine, so he just assumed they must have been too big for Dickson, and Dickson just went with it because he didn't want them back at that point.
Yep.
No, that's fine. You can keep them.
You figured it out. I'm glad we solved a mystery on this podcast.
The mystery of Ryan's pants.
Did it again.
Put in the real journalistic work here.
This is why we have subscriber.
This is why we make this podcast, to get down to the bottom of things like this.
Right. As far as his other major relationships, there's Sansa. I guess that's important, but I don't remember Dickson ever interacting with Sansa directly.
I think he talked to him once, didn't he?
Did he? I cannot recall a scene where he directly speaks to Sansa.
Wasn't there like
wasn't there a flashback where Sansa was in the giant body at one point?
There was a flashback that Egil has of Sansa in Arglis's body, and Dickson's there too.
Yeah.
That's the closest we come.
That's what I was thinking.
But I can't recall them ever speaking in the game that we see.
Yeah,
seems like nobody else can either.
I'm trying to think. Sorry, and I'm it's not coming to mind for me.
We definitely don't get any scenes have him talking to Sansa the way like Shulk does.
Yeah, and that did strike me as a bit weird. There was a fairly recent for comedy, animated recap of Xenoblade Chronicles. And at a point they get up to, like, yelling at Dickson for what his motivation is, and he just goes, I don't really know. And I just felt so validated that, like, oh, you don't know either.
Yeah, I was kind of... I found it... I was like, what kind of, like, weird brainwashing or whatever does it take whenever it's like, oh, the god took over your actual friend's body and you think, oh, I'll just follow this guy now.
That's another thing. We don't actually know what relationship Dickson had with Arglist.
Well, he basically said they were, like, really good friends, didn't he?
No, Arglist was friends with Eggle.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I assumed that he was too, though.
He might have been.
I don't know.
Maybe that was why he ended up following Zanza, that it was just like, oh man, my friend Arglist is now saying all this horrible shit. Oh, he's possessed. Well, maybe if I just go along with this for a while, somehow I can get my friend back. Oh no, now I'm in too deep.
Yeah, I kind of had that thought myself.
Like, that could be it. The only, like, solid sentence we get is that I think there's a point where Dickson does mention that, like, Zanza promised him the powers of a god.
Yeah.
And that's about it, and it's easy to miss.
As if, like, but the weird thing about that is, like, I mean, I guess anybody can say, oh yeah, I want that power, but I'm like, Dickson doesn't seem like he needs that. I was saying on the other thing, I feel like it's the kind of thing where he just couldn't, like, he was friends with Arglist, potentially, and he couldn't accept that Arglist was not Arglist anymore, and so follower of Zanza, because Zanza was Arglist now, and he just couldn't come to terms with that, and was like, no, he's the real thing, believe me, That,
yeah, like, that could be it,
makes
easily.
more sense to me. I don't know.
Again, it's another thing where I'm willing to look at a generous interpretation and willing to acknowledge that, well, just because I like Dickson doesn't mean everyone likes Dickson, and there are harsher interpretations you can take.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk. We could talk about, like, that kind of motivation a lot. It could just be like the overzealous religious follower thing. It happens far too often in real life as is to be like, I can't possibly understand how anyone can do this in fiction because they totally don't in real life, because they just do. So I guess my point on that is fair enough either way.
Yeah, I mean, it could easily be Dickson, for whatever reason, following Zanza out of, like, well, I was friends with Arglist, and therefore I feel that I have to keep following Arglist even when he's spewing stuff that I'm like, I don't think Arglist would say that, actually. Or it could be Dickson going, yeah, I want to be powerful, fucking whatever. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could.
Like, it could be that shallow. It would just be a bit disappointing.
Why would you go this far, Dickson? Because, Shulk, I have to bring back Hulkamania. No, I'm just kidding.
Hulkamania's running wild. Would you like my reading too much into it Hulk's theory? That isn't a theory?
Sure, yeah, go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, so, as we all know, Hulk Hogan tried to present himself to be, like, a really good role model for kids.
Yeah.
Like, that was part of his shtick. And then, as you learn more about Hulk Hogan, you're just like, actually, you're a terrible person! That's Dickson.
So you think that they were inspired by that to make...
Yeah, they were inspired. They were like, what if we made a Hulk Hogan that you think is going to be a great guy, but no.
Honestly, that would actually not surprise me. Especially... I mean, come on. I could definitely see those guys being into wrestling anyway, because they made a character that is... They made Rico, and they were like, yeah, it's supposed to look like Blanca. Deliberately supposed to look... And Blanca looks a lot like a wrestler, and there's all that hamminess that goes with that. There's a lot of crossover there, I'm just saying.
I would say that if this was a Sweary game, I would buy it a lot faster.
Very true. Very true. Well, that and the fact that they were like, with Rico, they not only referenced Blanca, but they also referenced, like, like a Hollywood movie or something about it that is not even very well known. That I
did
can't
not know about that.
remember the name. It was something about like the chains on like the cuffs and stuff on his arms on like that was inspired by some like old forgotten movie, and just like that level of deep cut. I could totally see this being a thing. Like, oh yeah, well, Dickson was actually inspired by this person, you know.
Yeah.
Like, Hulk Hogan isn't even a deep cut.
No. The real place in which, like, I don't know, man, I don't see any resemblance is Hulk Hogan did have a sex tape. Dickson does not.
Yet.
That's the real difference.
I guess I'm disappointed on multiple levels.
I was very amused when Hulk Hogan went to court with a black bandana because it was his formal bandana.
Ooh, this conversation went places.
This conversation went very good places. Look, we have to keep pure listening somehow, so we're talking about wrestling.
Oh, yep, we mentioned him. He is summoned.
Cut the episode. We're done. No, we haven't even talked about all of the character relationships. We've just been skipping around.
His other... Okay, so as far as Dickson and other characters, honestly, those are all very shallow relationships. I feel like the deepest one is that Larithia specifically says she doesn't like him, and then there's no elaboration on that.
He's just like the only person that isn't her type.
So, Larithia, as far as I can tell, has about 2 character traits. One of them is that she's horny, and the second one is that she's curious about what will happen if bad things happen to people.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say she's horny, and the second one is that she's kinky.
That just fell back into the first
I know, exactly.
So, either, I mean, it could be the case that, you know, she said, "Hey, Dickson, want to roll in the sheets?" And he said, no, not really. And so she hates him now.
No, you'll get leather all over me. Gross.
No, I feel like you're gonna make me call you mommy. I'm not into that.
Not into shibari, mate.
The other way to look at it, and I will fully admit that I put this particular point here just to kind of verify if anyone actually read the document, because I figured if somebody read the document, they would go, "Why did you write this?"
I was just about to ask.
I was like, wait. I think I can see it, but also I'm a little confused as to what it relates to.
So the note in the document is Larithia is an anti-vaxxer, and so here we go back to my point of Larithia just wants to see what happens when bad things happen to people. She clearly, like, she's the Minister of Science, but she also very much wants to see what happens if all of the Hyentia turn into Telethia, and how she can make that happen faster and stay longer.
Man,
So clearly, Dickson was going around saying, "Hey, actually, vaccines are good." And she's like, "Oh my god, Dickson, shut up."
You know, I could see that, seeing as Larithia is the only person in the game that acts and seems exactly like her goal is to just fuck a Telethia.
Again, she has 2 personality traits that I can tell. And honestly, I would love if somebody's favorite character, or even a character they just generally liked, was Larithia.
God, I can't wait for that episode.
Yeah, because I see so little in her, and I would love to find out what interpretations you've come up with.
I mean, we can talk about all of her attacks.
Does she have any? Because they're all kind of Callian's attacks.
That's true.
If you guys want
She's a Pokemon trainer
episode, just message us on XenoChat at
You'll have
XenoChat
to make a
Twitter.
poll for that one.
You're gonna have to make, like, you, the listener, is gonna have to make the document, because I have 2 points for her, and I just said them. I'm done with my Larithia points.
Hey, and that's the Larithia episode. Good night, everybody.
And we did it, alright.
Larithia, horny goth. We're done.
As far as this, so besides Larithia, we're just, again, that's the most we get, and we can't extrapolate that much because there's so little Larithia.
Well, that and that she's just, like, very, like, high and mighty, better than you kind of type, I guess. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
just
only
don't,
other thing I
like-
can kind of pull from that.
Yeah, I guess it could be like, I don't like that you're Sans' special boy? I don't know. She just says she doesn't like him, and then doesn't elaborate, and then doesn't have enough personality that we can go, oh, that's why you don't like him.
Yeah.
And they don't interact, so you've got nothing there either.
Larithia just kind of feels like, you're going to lick my feet and like it, slave person.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna not do that, actually.
Yeah.
Elvis is pretty neutral to Dickson. Elvis is pretty neutral to most things.
It's like, how do you feel about Dickson, Elvis? Oh, he's alright.
How do you feel about pizza? It's alright. Elvis just, he's just very neutral. Otharon and Mikol both do regard Dickson positively.
I had a note on this one. It's great.
Yes.
It's great. So, it also seems that Dickson talks at a very particular pitch, one that is difficult for Otharon to understand unless he's within about 2 feet of him, if we're being generous. As evidenced by one of our favorite clips from the entire game. Do I even need to bring up what it is, or will Jintoki graciously edit that into the episode right here?
In case Jintoki needs help editing that in, the clip is, Dickson says, I sometimes feel bad about, deceiving these kids. And Otharon goes, huh, what?
What's that you
and
say?
Dickson goes,
What's that you
and
say?
Dickson goes, no, never mind.
Can't say I feel so good about deceiving these kids.
What's that you say?
Oh, just mumbling. Forget I said anything.
I will say that particular thing was something where, again, this was still in my, here's how Dickson can still win. I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever the heck Dickson's in on, clearly Otharon's in it too. Otherwise, why the hell is Dickson just turning around within 2 feet of Otharon and just saying, hey, by the way, I'm betraying everybody?
By the way, cut none of that out of the episode, even the side notes.
Okay, I won't.
But
I don't
do
know how
edit
you
in the
could cut
sound.
it.
No, you can cut it if you want. I don't care.
I'll try.
If you find it, by all means.
Yeah, I will.
I might have it all screen capped in my Twitter. Or I should have it all screen capped in my Switch, and I should put that on my Twitter. I should update that Twitter. Otharon, regards him positively. Mikol regards him positively. Both. So he's had some amount of dealings, though with Otharon it might have just been in the war, a year ago.
Yeah, could have.
Since Charlotte also is vaguely familiar with him as oh, you're the heroes.
Oh yeah, that one guy.
Oh yeah, I heard about you. He tells Ryan to look after Shulk.
So how does Ryan feel about Dickson, though? He's like...
He doesn't really have much to say about him, honestly.
Yeah.
He's just okay, Mr. Shulk's dad.
Dickson's just kind of an old wet sock. I don't know. I would try to think of what Ryan would say about Dickson, other than after the end of the game, he would be like, hey, Shulk, what happened to Dickson?
Ryan, we literally just killed him.
What?
Ryan, you stupid idiot.
Man, I can't wait for the Ryan episode. I'm sorry we're making fun of Ryan, everyone.
Ryan. No, I adore Ryan.
Ryan is so good, though.
Ryan is an idiot, but I love him. Ryan is the very definition of himbo.
If you look up himbo in the dictionary, you see Ryan.
Shulk got in the dictionary. That's great, Ryan.
Say it, Ryan.
Fiora also regards Dickson fairly positively up until the point where Dickson does literally shoot Shulk in the back. At that point, she doesn't regard him so well. She
Yeah.
also is, to my knowledge, the only character that does specifically state, like, wait, Shulk, wasn't Dickson like a father to you? Isn't this kind of hard for you?
Yeah.
Another thing is that, sorry.
It's like he shoots Shulk in the back, and she's like, Dickson, what are you doing? You missed! No. Oh wait, that doesn't happen, my bad.
What I was gonna say was, like, there's the scene, and this is another, like, point against, or potential point against Dickson, where there's the scene where Ricky is like, oh, Shulk doesn't have a mama pawn or dada pawn? I'll be your dada pawn. Like, why doesn't Shulk regard Dickson as his dada pawn? And could it just be that, Dickson was the type that's like, I'm not your dad, just call me Dickson. And so Shulk was like, I guess that's not my dad then.
Possibly.
So, I guess we can go into a little bit more of the, the villainous things that they kind of have Dickson do at this point. Well, I mean, not that we haven't talked about that.
Oh, yeah, by the way, spoilers, Dickson's bad, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we just said that he shot Shulk in the back, so clearly...
No, he's absolutely a hero.
Yeah.
He's my hero.
That's for the greater good.
Even though Charla shoots everyone in the game. That's
another fair point. Technically
shooting Shulk makes
speaking...
Dickson bad, huh? Well, what about Charla? I'm kidding.
That's another thing. Dickson does... His whole healing technique is shooting.
In a world with healing bullets... I can't believe
he just
you
used the wrong bullet.
Can we really call him bad?
He just used the wrong bullet. He meant to use a healing bullet.
I don't know about you guys, but I cannot wait until bullet acupuncture is a thing.
My spine can't either. But anyway, tell me more about Dickson as a villain.
Sorry, Tyler, were you going somewhere with that, Jintoki?
No. You go on. I thought.
It's
no. All you.
Cool. Okay, I was just gonna say, bringing that up, his betrayal. I think we've gone over how obvious at times it feels like, but also, that we all kind of feel like it wasn't in a way. That
I think we were kind of getting to that earlier on, how we were thinking that obviously he knows more, but we didn't really expect him to really be a villain, so to speak.
We didn't expect it to manifest in the way that it did, because it just seemed really it just seemed really
it felt
off.
too obvious.
Yeah, it felt too
for,
obvious.
Takahashi.
And it felt like the kind of thing that they would easily subvert, and they didn't. They just went no, he's actually been evil this whole time. And whenever you get to it in context, it does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, but it does leave you kind of wanting for more. It kind of leaves you... Well, I mean, at least for me, it left me kind of I wish I knew a little bit more about what was going on in his head there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I need to elaborate that I always want more Dickson content.
Yeah.
I think that's just implied.
I guess we'll have to tell everyone to get on those fanfics, sure. I mean,
not
that we don't need more of that,
We always need more fanfics for everything.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, for me, his betrayal felt very broadcast. But again, that was because I was spending so much energy analyzing everything he did.
Oh, because
he just immediately caught my attention.
Believe me, it is not just you on that one. Everyone who saw it was it was that's the thing about it, though. It's so obvious that it threw me off, because I was like, oh, they're making this character obviously hiding something. It's probably going to subvert this into oh, he was hiding this, because that's that's actually that's a weird thing. It's it's a red herring that works against itself, I guess I would say. It does that make sense? They take this...
I was gonna... Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, finish your point.
Oh, I was just saying, they take this character, they make him, like, have this personality and have him be, it's like, oh, well, yeah, he's got some rough edges, but he's a good guy. And then they do these things where it's like he's saying things to himself that you're hearing very clearly, and they're so clear and so obvious that they're like, okay, he's up to something. He's got something else going on. But you think, they make that so blatant throughout that it's like, they want you to come in with the expectation, oh, he's going to betray you. They're not going to go that route because it's going to be like it's going to be something else because they're being so upfront about it, so in your face about it. And then when they go that route with it, you're like, oh, what? Like, I think a lot of people that I've talked to have had a similar experience like that. And it's like, it's so heavily broadcast that it's almost like a reverse psychology thing, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's the main point I was making with it.
What I was going to say is, like, if you're more familiar with Takahashi's works, you are familiar with Satan, you're familiar with Jin, you're familiar with characters where they're like, this character does not have my best interest at heart, and then it turns out, oh, they do, actually. So you get Dickson where it's like, okay, but this guy's going to have my best interest at heart, really. And no, he doesn't. So it's just a very specific to if you're familiar with this writer.
That actually brings up an interesting thing that I'd like to ask about, too. Like, Xenogears was a game with no actual voice acting outside of, like, mini-games. And, like, in battles, where they would just say, you know, hi-ya, hey, you know, that kind of thing.
And jerk. Yes, they said jerk.
Well, yeah.
And the 20 minutes of anime.
Yeah, and there's like a thing when you're reading out dialogue versus whenever you're hearing it like voice acted out. I feel like there were maybe times in Xenogears at which like Satan said something incredibly obvious that maybe wasn't as blatant as it was in like Xenoblade because of, you know, just it has voice acting, it has this going, it has cinematography, it has all this framing to it, whereas Xenogears is like, well, all we have to work with is these sprites and these words and this stuff, so you can read it a few different ways because you can't see, you know, you can't see body language, you can't see like camera angles that frame things certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if there was like a situation in Xenogears where, well, actually, I'm not even wondering. I'm pretty sure there was a few situations in Xenogears in which Satan said some stuff that was like, okay, that's pretty obvious, but it's also like aside, and we're working with the technology we have at the time, so maybe they meant for it to be this way, but it's not. But then they come out in Xenoblade, and they have Dickson saying something like 3 feet away from a character, and you're like, ah, is this supposed to be clever, or...
Yeah, that's the thing, like, with Retrograde Amnesia, go listen to their Season 1 podcast on Xenogears. Like, they do mention how many times you're able to go, wait, what the heck is Satan up about? And relatively, if you were to take moment for moment every time that, like, Satan said something where you're like, excuse me, sir, versus every time Dickson said something where you're like, excuse me, sir.
He does a lot.
Satan says weird things more.
Yeah.
But that's because
right.
they don't have the body language and the voice acting to convey that, so they have to give him more dialogue that you have to take pause at.
It's just there and you have to make
whereas
assumptions.
Dickson can just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Dickson, he has body... They have more technology available to him. They have voice acting. They can, like... You just need one line and you're like, excuse? Pardon?
A weapon to surpass Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. It was just kind of like weird to see it that way. Like,
yeah, I've discussed how Dickson is very much the Izuki character type.
Yeah, the archetype.
But archetype, thank you. But it's what if Citan did decide actually humans are bad, really?
Yeah.
Like, he would just be Dickson.
What if Citan had actually married Deus?
Exactly. But that, since I know we were thinking about having an Izuki archetype episode, I don't want to get too far into it other than what we've already seen.
Yeah, sorry. I don't mean to go too far into that. I mean, we already have plenty as is.
That's what happens when you put me on a Dickson episode. Mm-hmm.
But hey, then there was a remark that Dickson made, wasn't there?
Looks like that high-end tier's big bro died for nothing. Oh, don't be like that. You'll meet him soon enough. You might even be reborn if you return to Lord Zanza. Who knows? He might be your boyfriend in the next life.
You will not mock the memory of my brother!
Yes. Dixon makes a remark to Melia where he just goes, hey, maybe you'll see your brother in another life. Maybe he'll be your boyfriend. And she goes, hey, don't you mock the memory of my brother? And it's just like, what the fuck is this line?
Okay, so here's my take. If you want it, I think Dixon's just being.
Yeah,
I think Dixon's just being an edgelord. I think that's all there is to that.
I agree with that.
I think
I did.
I think they were just looking at internet comments and are like, "Oh man, this would be a great villain line."
Yeah, that works. I mean, I had a whole paragraph explaining why actually this line makes sense, but I was
please
being very
please,
tongue-in-cheek about it.
Now.
Please tell us.
Okay. So again, bear in mind that I was not saying this with any degree of seriousness other than like, hey, look how much I can talk about Dickson. So Fiora has a line where she discusses thinking about Shulk as her younger brother.
Yeah.
Or brother anyway. And so it's like, oh, okay, Homs clearly just do not regard the sibling versus romantic interest like boundary as much as we regard that as a thing that you do not cross. So Dickson didn't even know he was saying anything weird. He was just like, I don't know, apparently this is a thing you might do. You might date your brother, I don't fucking know.
I don't know, I feel like I've seen other, like, Japanese media where that's a fairly, like, somewhat of a commonality where it's like, oh, we get along, like, they'll say something like, oh, yeah, you're like a brother jokingly or something like that, and actually
like if you grew up together,
cover up that it's like, oh, I actually really have feelings for you or something.
I'm just allowing for the possibility that because Dickson has heard this sort of interpretation of relationships, he's been like, I didn't know I said anything weird.
Well, I mean, at that point, he was trying to troll them, so there is that, too.
So then it just goes right back to, like, Dickson just being a villain to be a villain. Which is also a completely fair interpretation. I'm just saying fucked up things so you'll hate me.
That's what it felt like mostly to me.
Same here.
I mean, especially after Larithia being Larithia. Like, oh no, she's outdoing me in the perverse fucked upness. I've got to do something.
I can say something gross. Yeah, it felt like the sort of thing that people might want me to comment on, so I did. My comment is, I don't know.
Shulk, you'll never out Fortnite me.
Check it out, I can make Thanatos floss. I don't know what the hell is in Fortnite. Actually.
Wait, Thanatos, like the one from Persona, or which version of Thanatos are we talking about?
Wait, it's just Thanos, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, Thanos,
from
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, from the Marvel comic.
When you say Thanatos, I just thought of like the Persona 3 Thanatos.
I was actually thinking of Kid Icarus Uprising.
Yeah, there's that too.
Sorry, I added too many syllables.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. I guess my brain always goes back to like Persona 4 Arena where Thanatos is in there and he's just such a cool character design. That's probably why it stuck with me. Anyway, moving on. Dickson.
Yes.
Yes. What is our next diction point? Some of these bleed together.
The next one was his
I think we
motivation.
mostly talked about
we
that.
kind of covered that under Zanza's relationship, but if there's anything you want to elaborate on, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was looking for godlike power. At least that's all we get. Obviously, I have more generous interpretations, but there's literally nothing to back that
I mean,
up.
honestly, there's even the chance that Dickson was... As long as Dickson has been alive, there's the chance that there's, like, conditioning from an early age, basically brainwashing. There's the chance that just, like, mind deterioration over, like, thousands of... Whoever knows how many, eons that he's been around has led to this.
I wouldn't put it at eons, honestly.
I don't know. I'm just saying he's been around a long time.
It's all speculation.
Yeah, this is all speculation on my part. It's just there are
it's
so
just
many,
a theory.
There's a lot of it's just a theory. What kind of theory?
That's like half this episode, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. It's like
that's the fun of these characters.
We get a lot, but we don't get enough.
Dickson's part of the story is basically a tip of the iceberg type of thing. We've got to just make we've got to make assumptions based on what he has done. And I think that to a point you can almost do that with any character in a form of media. There's in a lot of cases there is like things that you can go off, and I think that's the reason that every character can be loved on the level that they are, is because even if they don't have a particular form of depth in the game that is explicitly told to you, by the way, show don't tell, you can go off of what you have and come up with your own interpretation of it, and in that way it's like music.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of being very generous about, like, saying, okay, here's, a nice way to look at this, but hey, if you want to look at it a crueler way, yeah, there's nothing telling you you're wrong.
Yeah.
There's also, again, that I know that I'm gonna always interpret Dickson in the most generous way, and I'm willing to go, I might be wrong here. Here's a harsh way of looking at this.
I mean, I think that's completely fair, too, because, just going off of what Dickson was in the first place, I feel like he's a character that for me, I want to like Dickson. I mean,
you can.
And I can like Dickson, and I do like Dickson.
Okay, back off. I like Dickson.
Well, I'm not saying that you don't. I'm just saying I think Dickson is a well done character. I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
I think maybe the villain part was not as, fleshed out as it could have been in ways, but in another way, maybe it is, and we're just left that subtext to not insult the audience. Then again, there is that's where the whole thing of him heavily broadcasting his intentions over the course of it is like, was this like you didn't think we would get it, or is this like you're trying to make it so obvious that it throws us off? Because it did that for me. So I don't know. I don't know the writer's intentions in this, but it does make it interesting when you think about it that way.
Yeah, it's just very interesting. Like, again, with his motivation and him being a villain, where it's like the reason the betrayal at all was shocking was because it was so obvious. That we're like, okay, clearly they're not doing that. And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. Oh, alright.
Just imagine the day that that one of the writers on Xenoblade got a hold of this episode and was like, man, they thought way too fucking hard about this shit.
That's exactly what they're going to say.
Yeah, when they find this episode, they're definitely going to be like, that one weirdo who just did not stop thinking about Dickson for the last 10 fucking years needs a break.
I don't know if I am, flattered that I made this much of an impact on somebody's life when I wrote this character, or if I'm just fucking creeped out.
I'm just gonna file a restraining order, just, as a precaution.
Against someone across the Pacific Ocean from me, I'm gonna file a restraining order so that they don't get more than 1 billion miles within range of me.
I do not want Robin any closer to me than, absolutely necessary because of how the Earth works.
They must only be 1,000 light years away from me.
I have to go to a different planet, so I can never be close to Dickson's writer.
Well, I'm glad we figured that out. End of episode, guys. We did good.
Alright, we did it. That's every point I've made on this document.
Oh, okay, fine. You just
I
gotta
would
drag us back into
freaking love
this.
to!
Okay, fair.
I mean, what's there to say about the Giants? We don't know
enough. That's my point.
That's the sad thing.
Arglist didn't wear clothes because his name was Dickson, and he didn't think he would mind him being naked in front of him.
What? Dickson wasn't near Arglist when Arglist was on screen.
I know, I just read the word Arglist and made the joke because it was there.
Yeah, Arglist didn't wear clothes on Prison Island. When we see him in a flashback, he's still not wearing clothes. Dickson, when he's a giant, he wears, pants, so I guess giants just don't like shirts.
Maybe Dickson is just the classiest giant.
I'm gonna wear pants. I'm gonna hide my ding-a-ling, you weirdos.
Arglist?
This episode is brought to you by Dickson's bad voice acting.
Tell us more about the Giants!
Yeah, I would love more about the Giants. The scale of Prison Island means that it was definitely made for the Giants, but was it made by the Giants? Because it's got a whole Gothic architecture thing going on.
It's also anti-grav.
Anti-grav is the thing that the Giants apparently have that was established in Future Connected, that they just really loved levitate stones. Yeah. I don't know why. Really into it.
Okay, come on, let's be fair here. If we had levitate stones, who wouldn't love them?
Yeah, okay, that part's fair.
You're gonna tell me, if the technology's there, would you not fucking make the island? You don't have to be Elon Musk to make that shit.
Shavat really loved levitate stones. I have to be Elon Musk
to have the funds. But, yeah, we don't get that much about the Giants. We get, there's a giant researcher in, Tephra Cave? Tephra Caverns?
It was Tephra.
But they don't find that much. There are a few grave sites you can find for some giant kings, but we get very, very little, and that's, again, it's fine. We don't need that much because it's not that relevant to the story. It just tells us that there was a previous generation of sentient life. And that's another thing, that was just the previous generation. So as far as Zanza's very, very long life goes, he hasn't known Dickson that long. And God knows what Dickson was doing while the Hobbs were trying to evolve.
Hey, can I do a theory real fast?
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay, the host said yes.
So this is gonna be really complex, so I need you guys to listen really close. So
I'm listening.
So Dickson,
ears are against
he has
against the speaker.
He has medium length blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
What if Dickson looked just like Shulk when he was younger, but grew into Dickson and was a failed attempt at Zanza's body? His body he would go into, but he grew up and he was well, maybe I couldn't be this, but I can at least help you, right? Yeah. Okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just thought that was...
No, I see where you're going, but I am going to say that their noses are very different.
Okay, yeah, fair. But also, Dickson smoked a lot.
Yes, as we all know, smoking...
It's very bad for you.
The relationship between smoking and nose shape has been well documented by scientists all across the stupid sphere.
What if he smoked, got into a bar fight, got his nose broken, and it was just
his nose just became a fine Roman shape?
Yes. That's how that works. That's how
Uh-huh. Okay, so getting into a bar fight gets you a Roman nose. Is that's your theory?
My theory is that writers are not the same as... No, I'm not even going to go there.
Okay, because I wanted to hear about the bar fight that my grandma got in.
That made her nose a Roman nose? I don't know.
Yeah. I wanted to hear about it. I wanted to hear your theory.
I mean, I know that bar fights can bend your nose out of shape if your nose...
They can,
but it's usually not... Oh, it makes your nose...
Shape.
It makes the bridge of your nose a completely different shape in the... Yeah, no, yeah.
Not really protruding in that way.
All right, let's bring this back.
This is just me joking around, honestly.
This is getting into just... I don't even know where this is.
You knew what was going to happen.
I mean, this is...
I know. That's why we're here, to rein it back in.
Territory is what this was. We have nowhere else to go with the Giants. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, that annoys me that we really don't. And again, it's just because they spend so much time kind of talking about how they're going to give you more information and then they don't. That it bothers me.
Yeah, I mean, like, really, I think that one of Monolith's bigger things is just characterization. They make very strong characters, so...
They do.
Sometimes plot falls a tiny bit to the wayside.
For example, where was Dickson during the attack on Colony 9?
I mean, he was smoking, obviously.
All day, every day.
Yeah, that was the thing where, honestly, today I was like, wait, I haven't listened to his Japanese voice acting, so I was going through the cutscenes, and I was like, wait, where is he right now? He's just not there. Why isn't he there? Why isn't he just fighting Mechon? He doesn't like them. He can fight them. There's no real, more into that. It's just, why isn't Dickson mentioned in this scene? The end.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Do we have any other miscellaneous things about Dickson we can, discuss?
I discussed that he did a lot of traveling along the Bionis.
Yeah.
He knew about the Hyentia. He knew about the Machina.
I think that's pretty relevant,
Mikkel
though.
Liked him.
Yeah.
It is, but I didn't mention it. But yes, he was relatively well liked.
Yeah. This one about his last name, I just want to clarify. That is a joke, correct?
So this is one of those things where the first time I heard about it was way back when I was primarily on Tumblr.
Oh man, if this is real, I definitely want to hear about it.
So I had heard that people were like, "Oh yeah, it's Dickson Sos," and I'm like, "Oh okay, I guess I just missed something because I don't have all of the extended materials. I guess it's Dickson Sos." Then later it was like, "No guys, he doesn't have a last name. What are you all talking about?" And so I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess he doesn't, because again, I don't have extended materials, and it makes more sense for him to not have a last name than to have a last name, because the only one with a last name is Melia. And her family."
Yeah.
And I honestly was willing to just let it die there, but apparently, I know that Pure has made a Twitter status, or Twitter update about people bothering him about hey, did you know Dickson has a last name? And he's like, no, he doesn't have a last name.
What? Okay.
So I just wanted to again address that Dickson does not have a last name.
Also, the thing on that Hyentia thing is maybe it's just a Hyentia thing that they have last names, or maybe it's just a royalty thing, because that could totally be a dynasty kind of,
That
absolutely.
that makes a lot of sense.
Be. But the takeaway is there was a rumor that Dickson had a last name. He does not.
Okay.
Pure confirmed.
Because I'm going to be honest, the first thing I thought whenever I saw that the rumor was that Dickson's last name was Sos, was that was just a Dickson Sauce, joke of some kind. That sounds like something somebody would make as a childish joke.
It does. I honestly
Dickson Sauce.
Never looked too far into it, because again, I don't have any of the in-depth books.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
I just initially accepted it as, oh, I guess this was something that was covered in one of those, and then accepted it as, I guess it wasn't, and people just... Because coming from the Mortal Kombat fandom, where, people were just like, I guess there's a character named Ketchup and Ermac, because I found that, and like... No,
okay, well, I don't think you need to think that way, because there is a thing of... there are two things. There's rule of cool, where you just make things that sound cool, and then there's rule of stupid that typically Mortal Kombat bases his names off of.
That is how we got mocap, but Ermac was just people going, oh man, look, Ermac character. It's like, no, that's an error message.
That's how we got fucking Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
Well, no, Noob Saibot was because that was just Ed Boon.
It's Tobias Boone backwards.
Yeah.
That wasn't...
Rule of stupid.
That's not the same as Ermac.
Rule of stupid.
Anyway. Yeah. So that's the point about Dickson's last name. I just felt that we had to... It was our due diligence to mention, no, Dickson doesn't have a last name.
I've not heard of that one, but I had to ask because it struck me as the same kind of thing as, like, oh yeah, like that side character named Peter Dragon or something.
Yeah, again, it was a thing where I first heard it back on the Tumblrs.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. That clears that up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dickson being passionate about stopping Egil is another point. We should probably...
That was another thing where it's just like, I don't know if it's the translation being weird or what, but Shulk at a point says to Dickson, or says of Dickson, like, wow, it's really... You sure really hate those Mechon. What's up with that? And Mechon's like, I'm sorry. And Dickson says, like, Egil just gets under my skin the way he just wants to destroy all of the Bionis life. And it's just weird that Shulk takes any issue with Dickson not liking the Mechon.
Like, it's absolutely not weird from a perspective of the Homs to dislike that, or weird from the perspective of, like, Dickson in general to dislike that, because, obviously Maynith, all that stuff. But then for Shulk to question it, and it was like, Shulk, there's like a million other things you should have questioned before this.
Yeah, it just struck me as like, it was just another thing where it's like, this is an odd bit of wording, like, why is this weird? Of course Dickson doesn't like Egil. Egil sent a bunch of Mechons to kill all the Homs. Shulk, you didn't like that. Like, what the heck?
How dare you don't like this thing I don't like either! That no one likes!
Is it just that he thinks it's weird that Dickson is still mad at Egil once discovering Egil is is sentient? Is that the thing? That he was like, I only didn't like the Mechon when I thought they were just mindlessly killing people, but now that I know that they're directed, I'm less bothered.
Yeah.
Why are you still bothered, Dad?
I'm going to chalk this up to oversight on that one. Like a lot of things.
It's a thing where it's like the conversation makes more sense from the perspective of you're supposed to remember that Dickson is a bad boy.
Yeah.
And it's just another thing to enforce that, like, oh, look, good boy Shulk thinks this is weird, so shouldn't you think this is weird? I'm like, no, I don't. I think it's more weird that Shulk was very insistent on keeping Mumkar alive than it is that Dickson wants Egil dead.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay. So,
any other?
I think that we have pretty much, what is what? Nothing. Never mind. We talked about the Dickson insinuating Fiora, Shulk, or Ryan being a couple. Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
So here, let's all go to this wonderful.
I was about to ask about that, but I didn't want to ask about it in.
I just put it there to make it so I could directly quote
because I wasn't sure if it was there on purpose.
It was there on purpose. So, as Fiora, you can talk to Dickson in Colony 9, and Dickson will tell you you and him are a good match. And then you can progress the story a little bit, and Fiora leaves and you get Ryan, and you can still talk to Dickson. And Dickson will now say, you make a great couple. So, It's like, okay, I get that this was probably intended to be Fiora exclusive dialogue.
You do too.
Except that Dickson just like goes, okay, Ryan and Shulk, fine, whatever, somebody date my son.
I love it when...
That's interesting. I actually never knew that.
Either, but I love it when a plan comes together, I gotta say.
Yeah, so you can... Again, it's like, I know that probably the intent is that this was supposed to be an exclusive thing for Fiora, but the dialogue switches when Fiora cannot be in your party and Ryan is.
Interesting.
So, it makes it sound like...
I just, really learned something there.
Yeah. Damn. We should have had this in the queer theory app.
Dickson just wants his bisexual son to be happy.
I never knew you can do that. Wow.
I can't believe you didn't talk to Dickson obsessively. What's wrong with you?
I know, right? How dare I?
Yeah. Another thing is, so Dickson's official age is 44, which we know is false. He's a giant. He's been alive for hundreds of years.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at these pictures that you had of him saying that dialogue, and that it's yes. Kind of crazy that the dialogue is different when you go to him with Ryan in your party, and he says, I mean, he still says, you make a great couple, but he's saying something different there, technically. He's like, you guys have fun?
Yeah, it's later in the story.
Yeah.
His dialogue changes when you progress the story a little bit.
So, what you're saying is that almost feels intentional.
It does. It's just match. It also feels like that can't be what they meant. Yeah. They couldn't have.
It's either that or
put that there.
Now, if they had put,
or maybe
he gives looking at you two gives me butterflies in my stomach when Ryan was there. It might have been a little bit more, but
or maybe it was intended as a joke kind of thing. Like, haha, look at you two, y'all are couples. I don't know.
Could be. Again, it just.
But still, that is still really interesting that they went through the trouble of having him have different dialogue for that.
Uh-huh. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, he says that seeing Fiora and Shulk gives him butterflies, but then he says that Ryan and Shulk make a good couple. He does keep that dialogue because I know you can get Fiora back shortly after and talk to him again, and he'll still say that you two make a great couple, but now Ryan's awkwardly there.
Great thruple.
You two make a great thruple.
You three make a great thruple.
Yeah, his official age is 44, though. Which, again, false.
Yeah.
He 100 of years old.
He's a 1,000-year-old dragon.
Yep, he's a 1,000-year-old dragon stuck in the body of a 12-year-old.
1,000-year-old dragon waifu.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think it's funny to just imagine that he knew Michael for all those years as a Homs, and Michael just is like, I guess Homs live a really long time.
You know how everybody makes those images where they take Mario and take his mustache off, and they're everybody's like, oh, that's cursed? I'm kind of wondering what it would look like with the same thing for Dickson, and I'm pretty sure somebody's probably done it, but I don't think I've seen it.
So, yes and no. Hold on a moment.
I knew you wouldn't fail me. I believed.
It's not quite what you're asking for.
Fair enough.
Hold on, I gotta scroll up, scroll. Let me know if this link works. Does the link work?
It does not seem to, I'm sorry.
Not for me.
Unfortunate. Hold on, I can fix this. Save this image. Does that work? And if not, I will just... I don't know that we can share this in the episode, but, it's relevant in the conversation we're having right now. Xenoblade. Dickson. This picture. Upload. There we go. Now it's there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh. It's like a bald Dickson.
It was sent to me with the caption, "Cursed bald Dickson."
Oh, no. Hey, I mean... Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's under that bandana, so...
Yes, we do, it's hair!
Yes, but is it hair on top or just on the sides?
Oh, like he's got one of those bandana, like those hats where you just sew a wig pieces to it. But it's a bandana. Yes. That's hilarious.
Could be.
It could be.
Alright. Moving on.
Alright. My last bit is just about his voice actor. His English voice actor is Anthony May, which I mistook for a person who is on Top Gear. He's not on Top Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony May hasn't really been in too much. He mostly is on stage roles, so...
Anthony May in Top Gear, you know... Oh yes, it's kind of like the vehicles I saw in the Hyantian areas. Oh, wait, but it doesn't fly and such.
This is a great car, love it.
Great car, love it.
According to Anthony May's IMDb page, he was in Maleficent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has had roles, it's just they've all been relatively minor. The one role that at all stood out to me was that he had a character on an episode of Doctors, and that only stood out to me because I looked at the IMDb pages for the other cast members of Xenoblade, and many of them have appeared on that show. That show also has over 1,000 episodes, so... Like, Pyra's voice actress has appeared in that, too.
Really? Huh.
Mm-hmm. And Adam Howden has appeared.
Well, that's kind of interesting on Pyra because, like, I was under the impression she was a very relatively new voice actor.
Again, it just seems to have, like, the same sort of, like, saying that you were in an episode of, like, CSI level of meaning.
Yeah.
Again, Anthony May seems to mostly have stage roles. This wasn't his first video game role. But this certainly seems to have been his most major video game role.
Yeah.
Or any sort of primarily voice acting role versus acting.
Interesting.
Yeah. I sadly don't have much to say about it.
Yeah.
I did kind of want to look up the episode, but again, 1,000 episodes in this show.
Yeah, I guess so.
And his, I believe, was in 2015, so I very quickly said, no, I'm not that interested, actually.
He probably is not using the same dialect anyway, so... Or something, you know, it's probably very different.
Possibly, like, that was part of what I was curious about, was just like, is this how you speak, or were you playing a role?
Yeah, I see.
Though that wouldn't necessarily be answered with one thing.
Either way, his voice fit Dickson very well, I thought.
Yes, I think so.
It did. He did a great job.
I don't know if he could have done better, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job. I feel that if somebody else had the role, I would have possibly still liked it, but right now, if somebody else was like, oh yeah, we're recasting him, I'd be like, no, don't, no.
No, yeah.
Anthony May did it perfectly, stop. His Japanese voice actor was Tsuyoshi Koyama, who was another person where I'm like, I don't recognize a lot of these roles, but that's more on me, because what's anime?
I was looking at a lot, and most of his stuff is anime. Like, it seems to be like a lot of very much side characters that appear only a few times in the anime that he's typically in, because I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that one, and I'm like, wait, which character was that? So I think he's, for the most part, a deep side character in most anime.
Yeah. I couldn't tell anything because I don't watch anime. What's anime? I've never heard of it. The only name that at all stuck out to me was like, oh, Blaze Blue, I've heard of that.
He's Bang Shishigami, which that's cool.
Shishigami.
And he's in a lot of anime I've either seen or heard of, but not like the character is always, that person. Who was that again?
Yeah, this seems to be
There's
one
two
of his
characters in One Piece.
first major roles. I did, like I said, I did today listen to his Japanese role because I so liked Anthony May's performance that it never occurred to me like, oh yeah, what does the Japanese voice sound like? So I went ahead and listened to that, and it sounds fine. He sounds fine.
Well, it sounds...
I did play it for Cilantro just since I figured they might have a little bit more insight into like, oh yeah, he's using this dialogue or dialect, which indicates something, and it's like, nope, he just sounds like a dad.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I guess the most recent thing that voice actor has been in was Boruto. Closely followed by One Piece. And the only new anime he's been in is Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Anthony May, I think, was supposed to be in a movie last year, but last year happened, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year was 2020.
Oh, he was in Zombieland Saga.
No,
yeah, I don't remember the character, though.
Yeah. I feel bad. I feel like... I mean, it's not like I didn't put any effort into looking him up before this podcast. It's just that it was like, oh, he was in that thing that half the cast was in. And that was about it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I do think he did a stellar performance. I think Anthony May and Tsuyoshi Koyama both did a great job. Koyama, sorry.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I can't say much about other roles that they've had.
Yeah. I mean, I can't either.
Okay.
They're all very specific.
All right. I think we're almost done. I mean, is there any last minute comments about Dickson or
I love him.
feelings?
I love him.
He is perfectly all right.
I feel like there are a lot of points that we actually just doubled down on even, so I think we've got it pretty much covered.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just like, if we need to fill in more time, hey, do you need to ask me any questions where you need my interpretation?
Let me just see. Almost 2 hours? No, I don't think we need to fill in any more time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we've covered a lot of ground here, including stuff for those folks out there who have funny interpretations about Dickson. We've even addressed some of those.
I kind of had one on the fly that just occurred to me because of this episode. So
let's hear it.
No, I mean I mentioned it earlier. That was
okay.
thing
I thought you had another one.
Well, maybe since Dickson sort of looks like vaguely looks like Zans. Yeah, we went.
If you guys,
I mean, I hold more thoughts about Dickson. They're just all so this is based in nothing that I didn't feel like bringing them up. This is just based in Bot Love Dickson.
I mean, I know that feel.
Well, listeners, if you have any other theories or interpretations of Dickson, please message us at XenoChat Podcast on Twitter.
Or message me directly.
Yes, Nihilism
at
Bot.
Nihilism Bot.
Yeah.
But the bot has a 0 in it instead of an O.
Well,
because I stole my name from myself.
Let's see, since this is the end of the episode and we usually go around and talk about what we're up to or anything, let's start with you, Robin, since you kind of jumped on it. What have you been up to?
I guess since we're allowed to talk about the fact that we've been playing video games, I've been playing Legend of Legaia, because I've owned that for years and never finished it. I'm pretty close to the end at this point. As far as things I'm doing, I'm working on a few craft projects, but none of them are really, like, I don't know if craft projects are that exciting to you, Mr. Internet.
One of them is relevant.
One of them is relevant, and when that is finished, that will be very exciting.
Show it on your Twitter.
Yeah, post on your
Twitter when it is done. My Twitter is @NihilismBot, but instead of an O, it's a 0, because I stole my name from myself.
Alright, how about you, Justin?
I haven't really been doing too much other than streaming. Been doing a lot of that lately. I mean, I guess by the time this episode's airing, I've been playing Tomba 2 with Sam on Retro Roulette, and I've also started a playthrough of The Misadventures of Tronbon. It's been a lot of fun to revisit that one in particular. I haven't played that game in years, so yeah, I'm having a blast playing it again.
That game's so cute.
Mm-hmm.
It is adorable.
Both of those games are.
It's funny, because I liked that game before, but like playing it again, I now really like it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just been a lot of streaming for me. I am working on a review for Op Rainfall, and we do have some anime review. We have an anime review coming up really soon, rather. And yeah, that's pretty much been what's going on with me.
Cool. Alright, how about you, Dick?
Well, I guess the most recent thing that I have done that I actually felt the need to post, other than just like me taking random screenshots from games like I typically tend to do, is on my Twitter @Nickelberg, if you wish to follow. I did actually, for once in a long time, which I do every once in a while, but most of my art does not get posted there, because a lot of it is just random sketches that never get finished. But I did post my interpretation of Mithra if she were in a Guilty Gear game, and I was proud of it enough for the fact that I actually cleaned up the line art, which I tend to be very lazy on, as I tend to not actually completely finish a lot of my drawings, and thus they never get posted. But yeah, it's on there, and anybody who listens, if you want to go check it out, I mean, I gave you that handle @Nickelberg, so feel free to do that. I've got some random stuff on there, but other than that, there's not much. I was super happy with how that turned out, and maybe I'll do more like that in the future. But yeah, and this podcast are the main two things I've been involved with that are very public recently. So there you go.
Nice. Well, as for me, I've been just juggling a bunch of different projects and writing for RPG Fan and playing games here and there. Just randomly, I'm just gonna mention I have a guilty pleasure right now, and it's a game called Calico. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a game where you're a magical girl that runs a cat cafe, and it should be a terrible game. It's glitchy and just has a lot of pop-up, but I am entranced by it, and I just thought I'd share that.
I remember seeing that game before, and I was
I think I had streamed it.
Yeah, I think you did too.
Because I remember that was part of the I think that was part of the Indie Game Fest a while back.
I tried out the demo, and I was like, well, this seems like it has the makings of a good game, but it needs a lot of work. So it's kind of, I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't work out a lot more of that than they did. Apparently it's still very glitchy.
Yeah, like, there are times where, like, one time I was holding one of my cats, and it just kind of disappeared.
No more cat.
Oh, wow.
And I was, like, freaking out. I was like, oh my god, did I lose my cat forever? And it was my favorite cat, which is a fat cat.
Oh, no.
But then I found it, like... Oh. I found it.
It just teleported.
But it was just, like... It's basically. So it was, like... It's very glitchy, but I'm still, like, really enjoying it. I needed a really chill game, and that's what that game is. It's just very chill.
I mean, sometimes whether a game is glitchy or not, if the environment for it, if like the aesthetic is right and just like the things are just right to make it work for you when you're in a certain place, that's all that matters at times. And also, you know, calico cats, they tend to do that in real life, where they just randomly disappear from your hands.
Yeah, I hate when that happens when you're holding a cat and just disappears. It's the worst.
That's a thing.
Such a cat thing.
So that sounds pretty accurate, actually, to me. So, you know,
well, now I feel better about that glitch or board game feature. I mean,
are you sure you just didn't blink? Because cats are really fast.
It could have been.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, that was a really good episode. Thank you, guys, for joining me tonight to talk about Dickson.
I mean,
you were legally obligated to
have me. Was it, though? Yes. I mean, no, that's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you, Robin, because you put a lot of effort into our document for this, so thank you very much for your hard work.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, so for the future, should already have the How to Train a Xenofan episode 3 out, along with Blade and Driver relationships episodes out. Beyond this, I'm not certain. Oh no, I do know that we do want to record a villains episode. And this is kind of a good like preface to that, because we'll definitely be talking about different villains throughout the Xeno series, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, thanks again for listening, and have a good night.
Bye. Hey, it's Robin from sort of the future. Still the past because of how linear time works, but the future relative to the Robin you just heard, assuming this gets tacked on to the end. So I realized there was a very important line I forgot to overanalyze, so it's time for me to overanalyze. Some more Dickson lines. This one is from after Shulk wakes up from his coma, and everybody's in Colony 6. And this is also when the reveal that Albus is also working for Zanza happens. Albus makes a comment about it's time for Shulk to choose who the world belongs to, Zanza or Shulk. And Dickson says either way is good with me, which clearly shows, that he doesn't have any particular loyalties to Zanza. He possibly has a loyalty to whomever is strongest. But it just seems that if he doesn't care, he still might want to hedge his bets, Pascal's wager and all, and be a little nicer to Shulk and not shoot him in the back. Though I guess at that point you're like, well, how do I fix this? I can't unshoot you in the back, so... But I do think it's one of the more interesting lines. I don't believe I talked about my own personal beliefs for Dickson's motivations, which I tend to... Because I try to give him the most charitable read, I typically give him the Death Seeker motivation of he wants to die, but he doesn't want to just kill himself. So he's kind of playing a sort of mentor/antagonist role. He is raising Shulk to be powerful enough to kill him, and hopefully Zanza as well. And he's kind of like, and hopefully I'll die along the way. That would be cool. But there's no particular there's no particular dialogue that gives that. And also within the same scene, when Dickson's leaving, he mentions that he feels afraid, which you could view as, well, isn't that a counter to him seeking death? Shouldn't he not be afraid? And to that I say, I feel that even if you're seeking death when it's inevitable, there's kind of a bit of, like, anticipation and fear, and I don't think that necessarily would counter my Death Seeker theory. So I just wanted to make sure I brought up his line about not caring who's in control of the world. I feel like that's important. Another thing, theory I read in beautiful Google Translate, and therefore I am certain I'm not getting the theory 100% accurate, and this was from Tosta on Twitter, and I'm pausing my recording so I can go look that up. Oh, unpause. Okay. Tosita TOOSUT0 at Twitter, who posted a theory which was about the narrative of Shulk and Dickson being about kind of growing up and freeing yourself from parental control. And I just wanted to make sure I at least paid some respects to that theory, but also because I read it through Google Translate, I don't want to act like I'm an expert on what they were trying to say, because I obviously don't have that. I have what Google Translate said they were trying to say. But I did want to at least bring up that, because I'm pretty sure that was in there, and I think that's an interesting thing, just the idea of seceding yourself from parental control and growing up and showing that you're an adult now. Okay, so those were the things I felt that if I did not tack on, I would get kicked out of the Dickson fan club, and that would be sad, because I founded that, and don't kick me out. That's mean. Okay, I hope everybody has enjoyed this episode and this little supplemental. Enjoy. I assume the bloopers come next, so enjoy them bloops. Bye.
Save the game?
Let's turn the tables on them.
Oh, okay. So do we just want to get started?
What I was gonna say,
great start to the episode.
My one thing that I was going to ask, that I was like, maybe I should do this in our bullshit recording section.
This shit again. Welcome to fucking XenoChat.
Welcome to XenoChat. Can I take
your order? Welcome to fucking XenoChat. This is Matthews. I guess we're recording this shit.
I love the XenoChat that's hosted by Matthews and Squidward.
Yeah, Matthews and Squidward, host of XenoChat.
Yeah. I'm Squidward, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Matthews.
I'm only doing this because I was blackmailed into it again.
But what I was going to genuinely ask was, do we need some sort of bot safe word for bot to shut up?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
What do you think this episode is?
That ain't like you.
An episode where we might need a safe word to tell bot, shut up.
No, there's no such thing. This is no holds barred Dickson talk. This is like the Dickisode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Like,
did you say Dickisode?
Yeah, have you not seen that episode? It's the one where it's the one where everything is a dick joke. And
that sounds really good. But...
It is the most childish episode of almost any show I've ever seen in my life, and it just does not hold back. That's kind of the beauty of it. It exists. And it's about like these aliens that talk about dicks all the time, are shaped like dicks, get in a rocket ship that looks like a dick. They actually have to censor out most of the episode.
That reminds me.
On Adult Swim.
So part of my job is that I have to, like, go through... If I happen to see an inappropriate drawing on one of the pads of paper that exist for people to test out the various mediums, I have to either remove the page or fix it. So I'm getting really good at drawing rocket ships.
But you gotta be a little more creative. Next time
I really
you see...
should be, but it's kind of like a thing that I'm doing while I'm walking by doing something else. So
oh,
it's
okay.
just like, I got 5 seconds to draw a rocket ship.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't draw Mario holding it in 5 seconds, and you also can't draw, like, what else? What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. What? Go on.
I was going to say I could maybe do an elephant, depending.
Well, if it's just the right shape, you can make it into a Squidward. Because, you've got especially if they do the balls, they have, like, you've got the eyes and the nose there already.
If they don't do the balls, then it's not that recognizable generally.
Yeah.
'Cause generally, they don't do that good of a job, so that's why it's easy to just be like, it's a rocket ship!
Sometimes whenever I see Squidward, I have to wonder, like, when they were designing him, was this intentionally, like, just a dick joke at first, and then they're like, oh no, we can add, like, a head and a mouth to this and make it into an octopus.
He's a squid.
Squidward's an octopus.
What? But his name's Squidward.
I know, but he's like canonically an octopus with 6 arms.
I'm going to the Sponge Wiki.
Squids have 12 arms, I'm just saying.
You guys.
Sponge.
Welcome to Xenoblade Chronicles.
Well, we already did that. SpongeBob. SpongeBobia. That's not a particularly clever name, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, Squidward tennis balls, thank you.
I feel like they could have done something with, like, the name Bikini Bottom to, like, morph that into, like, a wiki name.
Classification Giant Pacific Octopus. Huh.
Yes!
Alright. No, you win.
I know my stuff.
Congratulations.
Even though Squidward's name contains the word squid, he is an octopus, not a squid, as confirmed in many interviews and episodes.
Listen, I've met his voice actor a few times. It's all good.
Alright. Okay.
So is all this being recorded?
Yeah, this is all being recorded.
This is being recorded. I don't understand the question.
It may go into the blooper section, of course.
No, I think this should be like, right, we'll just leave it in. Like, this is
should
how
just be
the
the
episode
episode.
starts, and people look at this and go, did I get the right thing? I mean,
podcast?
Surprise, this is the Squidward episode.
Yeah, right?
If I put the mustache on Squidward, how
we're going to talk about that new SpongeBob movie and the Patrick spinoff that's coming.
There's a Patrick spinoff? Why?
Yeah.
That new
They just announced that.
What was that? I saw, like, that clip. I don't know. Did you show that, Justin, where Sandy was, like, talking to herself from the future?
Yes, because that's for the new movie.
Wait, no. I thought that was from, like, the spinoff where it's like they're all kids.
Well, wasn't that the movie, not a spinoff?
That looked like the movie stuff.
I thought that was just a show.
I saw the first 2 movies. They were pretty... Actually,
Well, I just closed
the
out
first
of the
2 3D.
SpongeBobia.
Yeah. I saw the first 2 3D movies, and I was surprised at them actually being halfway decent.
Dare to judge me?
I saw the SpongeBob movie, and I also, with that same ticket, saw the the second Ghost Rider movie.
I forgot there was a second Ghost Rider.
You should forget that there was a second Ghost Rider. It was bad.
Also, hey, that original SpongeBob movie, that movie was awesome, actually.
That movie was good. The original Ghost Rider movie was good.
I don't think I saw either Ghost Rider.
I have the first one. We can watch it sometime.
Sweet.
Hey guys, do you want to talk about Dickson?
I always want to talk about Dickson. You guys know this. You know that you have to basically physically restrain me.
Good, so this is your episode.
No, first Jintoki, I want to steal a shtick from Retrograde and talk about the bouncer.
The bouncer.
Okay, let's talk about the bouncer.
Let's just talk about that.
Hey, it did turn 20 years old. So.
It did.
Does anybody follow Sela Squid on Twitter?
I don't think so. But
Sela
I will say
Squid is a fan of the bouncer's potential, which I think anybody who's a fan of the bouncer is only a fan of their potential. She's an animator, Kelly Turnbull. But she basically started this whole original comic based on how much she wished the bouncer was good.
Man, I love their names in the bouncer.
Yeah. Someday that's gonna be me with frickin' El Shaddai. I'll just be like, here's how El Shaddai could have been good, the comic.
Yes, I'm with you. That comic was kind of amazing. And here's my take on the bouncer. Never played it, but I kind of want to try it out sometime. It looks fun.
From what I can tell, you just want to play through like Volt's story because he's secretly the main character.
Volt Kruger.
I'll take
Yeah.
it. Oh yeah.
I also wanted to try the bouncer. It looked decent. The graphics still look pretty good.
For
And the
20
music
years old, it is
was
still
nice.
super pretty.
I mean, wait, let's say PlayStation 2. The graphics.
Yeah, it
that
was
I
a
saw,
very early
kinda
PS2
reminded me
game.
of like Xenosaga 1 a little bit.
I see why you'd say that.
A little bit, like the way
Yeah.
they're modeled.
I can see why you'd say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like an early Squaresoft game, and when Squaresoft was making like shit that wasn't Final Fantasy.
Yeah. What if you were a fantasy bouncer?
Although that's disingenuous of me to say. Square is making stuff that's not Final Fantasy today. We're getting quite a bit of Mana stuff and Nier Automata. So
Yeah, they're making Final
doing
Fantasy
good
7 stuff right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's kind of do our introduction now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
I'm ready.
Gah, there's no end to this.
Hold on, I have to go find all this. This is a good moment to cut. I don't think this needs to be kept.
We're gonna cut this.
Yeah, let's cut this.
Mm.
Hold on, I have a lot of pictures of Dickson to go through. Oh, jeez, did I not take a picture? This might be on my Switch and not on my Twitter. Alright, I guess it's on my Twitter. Not on my Twitter, but it's on my Switch. But yeah, there are a bunch of weapons where it's just like, allegedly increases some stat. I can go find that, but as long as we're taking an awkward pause, I am going to go use the restroom.
I think I will do the same since you are doing that.
All right.
In the case of the audio, right here, I can cut this out.
Make a note.
Or
Just keep going.
Yeah.
just leave it going. Leave it going. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Just leave it going.
I will be right back.
But
Okie doke.
yeah, just make sure you're jotting down just general time frames so you remember when you're editing.
It sounds good to me.
Nap on your own time, Ryan.
Yeah.
I might edit out the part I mentioned about recording Dunban saying "Dick."
No, we keep that.
I think that clip's on Twitter. Pretty sure I put that on Twitter, but
That can be the episode picture.
though, if we're gonna use Dickson clips, we should use the one I got of him going, "Stick this in your exhaust pipe and smoke it."
Stick this in your exhaust pipe and smoke it.
That would be probably a good one too.
I don't know where we're gonna use it, but it's a good clip.
That could be the episode picture.
You are roboting like crazy. I can't hear you.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, hopefully I sound all right.
Hey, you just leave it to this old fossil.
I'm back. I
Well,
got my Switch so I can go check my gallery.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just telling Jin that we should use that one clip of the one I got that we goes, "Stick this in your exhaust pipe and smoke it."
That is a very good one.
That is probably one of my favorite ones in
I
the whole
did not
game.
realize how many pictures I have yet to upload.
Let's wrap this fight up.